When you open Sony Vegas, you're going to be met by a screen like this. It's completely empty, there's nothing there. If this is what it looks like, then good. If something seems extremely broken on your end, then go to View, go to Window Layouts, and click on Default Layout, so then it goes back to normal. Every window can be moved with the little divider, the little gray divider, whether it's left and right on certain windows, or even up and down on other ones. You can customize a lot of things, so have fun with that if you want. And if you want to save a layout, then go to View, Window Layouts, Save Layout. I have my saved one right here, because I like this. You can either put a video in by going to File and Open, and then scrolling through your folders and finding the video, or you can just open a folder on the side and drag it in. I'm gonna drag it in. So here we go. I dragged it in. Make sure you make it so then the video touches the leftmost side, because it starts at 0 seconds right here on the far left. Before we get into any keybinds, I'm gonna mention one thing that's really important. On the middle left right here, you have 4 little tabs. Actually, you probably have more, but all you need is Project Media, Explorer, Video Effects, and Media Generator. If you have any extra ones, you can just X them out. If you want to get them back later, then you can. You're going to go into Project Media, and that shows any files that you currently have in the program right now. So here is the clip of me. So what you want to do is right-click it and click Create Video Proxy. You're going to do this for any video that you add ever, because it reduces the lag and crashing and literally makes the entire program way more smooth. It's like pre-rendering for Adobe Premiere Pro. So when you start it, you're going to see on the bottom left there's a bar, and it's going to say building video proxy for whatever the file name is, and you need to wait for that to finish. And if you do anything while it's doing this, it'll probably crash your program, so just let it go in the background. It takes up a lot of GPU, so if there's ever a time where you're not doing anything, or if you're just on Google or watching YouTube or on Discord and not playing many games, then you should be able to do this. And you can play some games while doing this, like I've done it before, but it might just be like a little bit more laggy. It's kind of like rendering. One thing that you're going to want to do right away is on your preview window, once you have a video open, on the top left of it, you see this gear. It says Project Video Properties. You want to click on that, and here's where you're going to start your entire rendering thing. We're just going to do this ahead of time because this is how it looks best. So what you're going to want to do is just copy everything I have down right here. For the width and the height, I have 1920 by 1080p. That's like the most usual format that you're going to use. Frame rate 59.940. In some cases, especially for me originally, it's set at 30 for some reason. So just make sure that it's at about 60 FPS. Pixel format 8-bit. I'm not sure if I ever changed that, but full resolution rendering quality, change that to best. Emotion, blur type, Gaussian, whatever this stuff is. Just copy what I have right here. And then what you're going to want to do, okay, is go to the top and name it, and then save it. So then you can bring this back whenever you need it. But also on the bottom, click Start All New Projects with these settings. This will make it so that anytime you open the program, you'll have these settings and it'll just be perfect. You don't have to change it every time. And once you have all that, then press Apply and press OK. And if you want to mess around with the audio, maybe you can make the audio a bit higher quality. Then you can go back in there and change the audio hertz to something higher, like, I don't know, 88,000. Now, one important thing before we get into every other keybind is going to be setting a new keybind that is going to help you so much. It's one of my new favorite keybinds that I didn't know about for like 5 years. So go to Options, go to Customize Keyboard, and when you're in here, you're going to want to type in edit.trim in this box right here. And down here, you're going to see edit.trim and then trim.end. And what you want to change over here next to Start, it's going to say a different keybind besides Shift S. So you're going to want to click on that, and then in shortcut keys right here, it's going to say a different keybind, and you just want to remove that, and then click back into the shortcut keys box, and on your keyboard, press Shift S, and then click Add. That'll add the keybind, so then you can do this with Shift S. And do the exact same thing for trim.end. Make it Shift D after removing the original keybind. I'll go into what that does later. Another really important keybind to have is back in this box where you typed out your original thing, type auto, and what should come up says do auto ripple, and you want to change this keybind to X. There might be other keybinds that are overlapping, so what you can do with this if you want is you can click on it, click locate, and then you can remove the keybind for whatever this extra thing is. But the most important thing you want is to have track view options.do auto ripple as X, or whatever keybind you want to set it as. Mine is just X because it's really accessible. So now you have the 3 most important keybinds that you should have. Now I'm going to go through all of the default keybinds that you're going to use literally all the time. S is cut. The delete key deletes the track that you currently have selected. So if I have this left track selected, you can see that I have it selected because this red box is highlighted with blue, this blue box is highlighted with blue, this purple box is highlighted with blue, and the video box is highlighted yellow. So that's how you know what you have selected. If you want to select that and something else, like if I make another cut here, if you want to select both, then hold Control, select both, and delete deletes it. The delete key, I should say. Another little useful keybind or button that you might want is if you don't have that many audio tracks, or you just think that your view is a bit small, then you have two options. You can either drag your window so then the video box is a bit smaller, but then you have more room on your tracks, and / or you can just go over on the bottom right here. There's two sets of pluses and minuses, but the one you're gonna want is a vertical set. And what that does is when you click the plus, it just makes the tracks wider, so then you have more room to work with them. And again, if you want to go down the tracks, if you have too many, like if they're too tall, then you can just hold Control and scroll down, and then you can see all the ones that are off screen right now. Now, another important thing that I should mention is on the window right here, on near the top of it, it says preview, or might say something different for you, but this is basically the quality of the window right here. So the higher quality you have it, the more the program is going to lag. I personally keep mine preview half because that is like a good mix between not looking really terribly pixelated and also not being laggy at all. You can try different options, but I'm going to say that preview half is the best for me at least. So let's say you only have your video track, but you want to add a new track. You can either press Control Shift Q to make a new video track right here, or you can just go off to the right where your cursor is laying on nothing. You can see that it's a gray void. There's nothing here. There's no audio tracks. You right click here, click Insert Video Track. Then you can also do it that way. Same thing for audio tracks, but you're going to do it a little bit differently. So when you want to make a video track, you want to make sure that your cursor is off to the side near a video track. So then here it says video track, but if you want to make a new audio track, then basically do the same thing, but next to a different audio track. Or you can just go on the bottom here and you can click either of these two buttons. Now for people with multiple audio tracks, or for somebody who wants to maybe get rid of an audio track or unlink something with something else, because right here, as you can see, I'm moving all of these audio and video tracks at the same time whenever I move it. If I can show a better example, I can move this entire chunk right here because they're all clumped together, because that's how it was made with OBS. If I want to get rid of the audio tracks, or maybe just get rid of one of them, what you can do is highlight every track that you want to get rid of. And to do this, you can just click on the original, then Control click the rest to highlight them. So as you can see, I have all the audio tracks selected because they all became white and they have this yellow border, but the video track does not have the yellow border, so the video track is not selected. And then what you can do is press U, and what that'll do is it'll unbind everything. So now I can move all of these on their own. So another example, if you just want to remove one of them, then just click on it, press U, and then you can either move it around or delete it. But all of these other ones are still here because they're still linked. And if you want to relink something, it's basically the exact same process. Just make sure it's lined up the way that you want it lined up. And once it's lined up, just Control click all of them to select all of them, and then press the key G, and that should put them all back together. It's like Legos. Now I'm going to go through more important things when it comes to just navigating your screen, because for people who are new to the program, I realize that a lot of people are kind of confused with how you even navigate your screen. And I think that this is the most simple part about this program. To go anywhere on the timeline, you can click anywhere on the tracks. You can click literally anywhere here. You can click on the top, you can click just on them. Literally, you could click anywhere to move your cursor. And I think that this is like the best part about this program. And if you want to zoom in on something or in a specific spot, you just click where you want to zoom in on, and then you scroll in, and that will completely zoom in on where you selected. And the best part about this is you could just click anywhere, and if you want to quickly go there, you zoom in and it auto centers your cursor on your screen. And as you can see, the bottom of my screen is cutting off the purple track right here. So if I want to go down, I can either go on the right and click this scroll bar, or I can just hold Control and scroll and it'll go down. There's also a green track down here that I'm not using. But if you ever have too tall of stuff and you need to go down, you can either just go to this bar, or you can scroll down with Control selected. I never use this, but if you ever want to move left and right on your timeline, you can either use the bar on the bottom to move left and right, but obviously your cursor stays selected where it was. So you can see where you still were, but you're just moving the timeline itself, so then you can look across the rest of the audio tracks. Or you could just hold Shift and scroll either direction. Another important thing for navigating the timeline, or just having a clean timeline, is when you open the program, depending on how big your audio waves are right now, like you can see that these audio waves, they're pretty small. They're kind of hard to see. It would be really hard to like figure out exactly where I need to make a cut to get to the next part. So what you can do is you can hold Shift and press the up arrow on your keyboard, and that just makes them appear larger. It doesn't actually make it louder, but it just makes it seem larger, so then you can see where you can cut easier. Like right here, you can see where the audio goes from blank to me talking. When it's smaller, it's kind of hard to see that, but when it's really big, you can see exactly where I need to cut. I just need to click right here and press S, and that is it. And you can see where the waveform ends right here. It ends. It goes into nothing. So you click right there. You can literally just click on it and press S, and then you can see where it starts up again. You click it, press S. Easy as that. But this is also where the custom keybinds that I mentioned come into play. So down here on the bottom, you can see these little options right here. The magnet one is really important to keep on. So when it's highlighted blue, then that means that it's on. What this does basically is, here, I'll show you when it's off. If I delete this and then I try to move my right track over the left to sync them up, it doesn't automatically snap. So I'd have to really precisely put it there. But with the magnet on, it just snaps. So then it's perfect. It goes straight to the next clip like that. So you're always going to want that on, unless whatever reason you might want it off for a little bit, but it's always going to be right there. And then this one is also really important to have on, automatic crossfades. That means that if you ever overlap a clip like this, you put one over the other one, it'll automatically fade into the other clip, instead of otherwise, if you have it off, it'll just overwrite the other clip. The other clip behind it will not exist anymore. It'll just be under it. But if you have it on, then it'll fade. And this is really good for just like super subtle transitions that maybe aren't even visible, but it's just good to not like completely cut the other clip out. Now, one of the most important keybinds that I use all the time is the third one right here. It's the auto ripple one. This is one that I keybound it to X, but you change it to whatever you want. So you could either just click it to turn it on, but since you're going to use it so much and turn it on and off so much, I set a keybind for it so that I can just do that manually. So when it's on, and let's say you want to make a cut between this audio track and the audio track where it begins. So there's this dead space that you don't want to be in the program. So you cut where the last audio track ends and then where the next one begins. And in the middle track, you just select it by clicking on it and you press the delete key and it automatically moves the far track to touch the original one. So now it's a clean transition. They are literally just sitting there next to each other. So you can just go through and do this over and over again, but there's even a way to make it faster. So normally you would have to press S twice, and then you'd have to select this track in the middle and then press the delete key to make it work, right? Well, with one of the other keybinds that we set, you can click on the left track where the audio track ends, cut it, and then click on the right one where the audio track begins, where you want to make the cut, and then hold shift and press S, or whatever that keybind you set at the beginning, the edit trim start one. What this does is it essentially takes anything from your cursor right here to the left and deletes it on that track. So if I do it, it just deletes that part automatically. I don't have to make a second cut. I don't have to press the delete key. It just automatically does it. So if I do it over here again, boom, S, Shift S automatically transitions. So now we have a big cut right here with literally nothing in it. I don't know what I'm doing for this entire minute, but I make the first cut here with just pressing S. And then I scroll out, I click over here to set my cursor where I want it to be, and then I zoom in to center my screen, which is literally just scrolling out, then scrolling back in. Basically, anytime you scroll out or scroll in to zoom in, it also repositions your screen to be in center with your cursor. I click where I want to make the second cut, I press Shift S, and then as soon as I zoom out, it moves my cursor to where it needs to be, and boom, I'm exactly where I was before, but the giant section where I wasn't speaking is completely gone. So now here's the two clips that we just cut out. See? Perfect. Now we're going to get into one of the big boy features that confuses a lot of people. Cropping and padding and everything in between. So when you're going to crop a clip, like if I want to zoom my face in right here, first of all, you need to have the part that you want to crop fully selected. What I mean by that is to literally make a cut where you want the crop to begin and then make a cut where you want the crop to end. So here I maybe want the crop to be this entire clip right here of me talking, and then I want the crop to end. I don't want it to start before I start talking. I don't want it to start after I'm done talking. And once you have the track that you want, then on the video track, you're going to see this icon right here. It says event pan / crop. You're going to click it, and what that's going to do is it's going to open a brand new window. This is where people get super confused, but this is really straightforward. So to make things really simple, on the left, you can see all these controls that I have selected. Just make it like this. So then these two are blue, these two are blue, but if you ever want to mess around, then you can see what turning these two off does. But for now, we're just going to have them selected. So this is essentially a new timeline, but this timeline right here is this track right here. One thing that you can see that really makes this apparent is when you click this little keybind right here that says sync cursor. What this will do is it'll put the cursor up here exactly where it is down here. So if I move it like this, you can see that it moves it up here. Most of the time I have this off because I can just guess where I want to make the zoom. But essentially, if you want to make a simple zoom where it zooms in the whole time, then this is your starting cursor. Where this is right now, this little diamond right here, you can move it around, but most of the time you're going to want it to start at the beginning of the clip. And if I want to make a simple zoom that lasts the entire clip, what I'm going to do is go to the end of the clip right here and make any change. So how you can zoom things in is you can see this box right here. It looks like any Photoshop document or something. The F right here is to show if something is flipped or upside down or inverted or anything. So that's why the F is here, because it's a letter that can really resemble if something is flipped or not. So like if I right clicked the screen right here and I clicked flip horizontal, you can see that the F is backwards. That's what the F is for. Either way, you need to make sure that you have the diamond selected. So if there's a diamond in the diamond right here, then you know that it's selected. If there's no diamond in the diamond like this one in the left, then you're going to need to select it if that's the one that you want to change. So if there is a diamond in the diamond and your cursor is right there, then you know that that one's selected. So one thing that you can also do here is if you have your cursor over this part of the screen, you can scroll out to zoom out, or you can scroll in to zoom in. This is just for ease of use. But to make the zoom itself, you can see the squares here. It's a lot like any photo editing thing, like I mentioned before. And on the corners, you can see that my cursor changes from just top down to diagonal, and you can really do it any way you want, but I usually do it diagonal. And you can just grab the corner, so hold left click and then just pull it down left, or if you're in a different direction, then just pull it in, so then the box gets smaller. And where this box is, you can see the borders of the box. That is what you're seeing. So anything outside of this dotted box, you don't see. The reason for this circle on the outside is for rotating. So if my cursor is outside of this box right here, but it's in the circle, as you can see, I'll zoom out, you can see the circle. My cursor is in the circle, not in the box. Then you can see that it turns into a rotate tool. If my cursor is outside of the box and outside of the circle, so I'm in this like white stratosphere, it turns into a hand where I can just move my screen around for ease of use. This little circle in the center right here kind of adjusts how you can rotate it depending on how you pull it in and out, but I never use that. Regardless though, if you want to zoom it in even more, then you literally just take it and drag it, and you can see that where the box shows is where the actual program is showing. Don't mind my stupid face. So now if we play the clip right here, then you'll see that it's zooming in the whole time. Still zooming, and then it ends, because that is where the clip itself ends. And most of the time when you're done making the zoom, you can just close out this window and boom, it's saved. It always automatically saves. I've never had any issues with this. So I'm going to do another zoom. So I'm going to click at the start of this audio track, and then I'm going to delete this one because I don't want the empty space to be there. And then I'm just going to drag it along. And then obviously I'm going to put my cursor where I want the zoom to end. So for this one, I'm going to start it zoomed in just for fun, I guess. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just scrolling out for ease of use so that I can actually see where I'm working. And I'm going to click at the end of the clip. I'm going to take it by the corner. I'm going to take this box by the corner and drag it out. So right here, you can see that this dotted box is displaying that I'm basically completely zoomed out. The entire clip can be seen right here. And something I should mention is, depending on if you have sync cursor on or not, your cursor in this window will be different than where it is out here because I have it off. So if I click in the middle of the clip, you can see that I'm in the middle of the zoom. Like where this window is right here is basically in the middle in this clip, because you can see the box. It's just unsynced. Like that's why the sync cursor thing exists. So if I have it on, then I can just click here and then it moves both of my cursors. But with sync cursor off, if you want to just be at the end of the clip, but then down here you want to see what it looks like, then you can just do that. It's really simple. And another thing that you can do if you want is you can make it zoom even further out from where the video actually is. So if you ever have a moment where you want your camera or your game to zoom out like this, then you can make the ending of the clip zoom really far out. So if I go back to the beginning with how I have it, you can see that it starts out zoomed in and then it ends really far out. So if I want to look at how this looks, you can see that it starts out zoomed in and it ends zoomed out exactly how I had it. Now, another thing that you can do if you're really advanced, I guess, is basically, so obviously every time you start out with a new clip, it's going to start with one of the keys right here because it has to start with at least one. So if you want to make a little like quick zoom in that a lot of YouTubers use, then to make a new key, you can either click anywhere on the timeline and then click the add key button right here, or you could just double click where you want to put it. So if I double click right here, it'll automatically add a key. And then what I want to do here is I want to start with it zoomed out. So the left key, you can see that it's selected with the diamond in the diamond. That one is normal. I want that one normal. So then I select the second one. So then that's the only one selected. And then I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. And then what I'm going to do at the end of the clip is select the end and then just make it zoom in even more. And what this is going to do is it's going to make a clean zoom in and then slow zoom in basically. Watch this. That overall was pretty good. And once you get the hang of it, then you should be able to just make the cuts. You have the clip right here. Obviously, you can delete the center clip if you don't want any empty space, because why would you want empty space? You click the crop and pad window. You start at the beginning always, and then you can just zoom it in at the start and then make a zoom at the end. So you can make a starting point right here and an ending point right here. You can see that the starting point is zoomed out. The ending point is zoomed in. So the clip should start more zoomed out and then end zoomed in. Let's see. Boom. Perfect. So now let's say that you want to add text or you want to add another video track over a different video track. I already showed you how to make a new video track in the past, but if you need a refresher, you can just click this button right here, or you can press Ctrl Shift and Q. But for now, we're going to add text. So over here on the left side, you can see in these 4 tabs that we have right here, another important one is media generator. And on the left is going to be a list of plugins that you might have. And one of them is going to be titles and text. And when you're in here, the one that you're going to want to choose is sample text. It says that right there. And then it says default. What you're going to do is you're just going to drag it from that window onto your timeline. And that's going to open the text box. I'm going to try making this as simple as possible because I think that text is the hardest thing to do in Sony Vegas. So we're going to do a bit of a jumbo mix right here. So I'm going to cut out the excess downtime of me not talking in the beginning right here by clicking where the audio track starts and then pressing Ctrl S to cut out all the stuff on the left. And then I'm going to do the same right here. I'm going to press S where the audio track ends, and then I'm going to click where the next audio track begins and press Ctrl S. Or obviously you can just press S and then click on the blank space and press the delete key. Always keep track if auto ripple is on or off. If it's blue, then the difference will be, see, you can see that it's blue right now. When I press delete, it'll automatically move my clip to where the last one ends. But really importantly, if you have your video playing like this and then you make a cut and then you delete the center with auto ripple on, if your video is playing while you do that, it'll probably crash the program. That happens to me all the time, specifically when you're pressing the delete key. But if your video is playing while you do it with the Shift S option, so if I click here, click on the end, press Shift S to make the cut, it doesn't crash. That's one really important thing with both of these keybinds. It makes it so fast. Okay, regardless, let's go back to text. So let's say I want the text box to be on this track right here. I want it to only be on that track. What you can do is basically click where this track begins. So that would be right here. You click on the text box where this track begins. You can press S to cut the text box, click on the left side of the text box or wherever you want to delete the text box and press delete. So now the text box starts where I want it to start. And if I want it to end at the end of the clip, you do the exact same thing. You just click on the text box where the clip ends because it'll automatically snap. Like if I click around here, it'll automatically put my cursor where I want it. It'll put it where this clip ends. Either way, I'm going to delete that side. So now the text box is specifically where I want it. It is exactly over this clip right here. And now, as you can see, there are 2 different options with the text box. There's the same crop and pad option, and then there's also this special option, which is the text box itself. And this is where things get pretty annoying. So if you're selected on your timeline at the beginning of the clip, you're not actually going to see the text box. You're only going to see where the text box actually is. You're not going to see the text itself. So what you can do to fix that is literally just click anywhere else on the timeline where that text box is, and it'll work. For some reason on frame 1, it doesn't show up. Either way, we're going to make the text itself. So in the text box, I'm just going to highlight all of this and delete it so then there's nothing there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my font to something that I think looks a bit better. You may have to download some fonts. If you know a specific font that you want, then look it up and download it. I'm going to change it to this one. So now anything I type in here will have this font. One thing to keep in note, you can see the text box here. You can see that when I move my cursor over it, I can actually move the text itself. So I could move it down here if I want subtitles or something. So there, you can add subtitles just like that. And also, just like the crop and pad feature, there's the corners here that have boxes. They may look a bit different and it doesn't show that you can do this. But if you highlight your cursor over the little squares on the corners, you can actually make it smaller or larger by dragging in or out. So now if I want, I can make it smaller and boom, just like that, you have subtitles that are kind of functional. Another thing that you can do is on this text box window, there's a little bar on the bottom that you can use to drag, and over on the right, or maybe wherever else it might be on your screen, there's going to be options. Right here, we have outline. So you can change the outline color right here. I'm going to make it black by using this color wheel, however I can do it. So yeah, there we go. Now it's black. You can see right there. And then what you can do is you can up the outline width, and that makes it have a border, obviously. Another thing you can do if you want your text to have like a back shadow around it, then you can click the shadow drop down, click shadow enable, and then it gives this like odd shadow that you're gonna have to mess around with if you want it to look good. I usually don't do it, but it can look decent if you want text with like a shadow behind it, but it does make it lag a little bit more. Obviously, you can also scale your text up and down with this scale option here, but Sony Vegas gives you so many options to make things so much easier, so you can literally just make it larger and smaller like how I showed you before. Now, if you want to change the text color, then you can just do it right here. And sadly, you're not able to select a certain part of the text and change the color. I really wish you could, but from what I know, you can't do that. Now, this is really advanced stuff, so you can come back to this later, but once you have your text made, then you can animate it with the crop and pad feature. It's the same as animating the rest of your clip, but sometimes where you place the text makes it a little bit weird. But this is also a really good example for later. So what I'm going to do, just to make things simple, is I'm going to move the text box back to the center, which you can do by left clicking twice on the text box over here. So like if I move it up here, I left click it twice, boom, it moves it back to the center. That might be a decent keybind to know. But now I'm going to click the crop and pad on the text. So it's the same window that you guys have seen before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the text zoom in. So it starts out normal. We have the first key here. This is normal. This is basically a fake window of where the text box is. Like the text right here is basically a box that is my entire window, if that makes sense. Either way, it's literally just like a visual thing for you to see where you can move things in and out. If I want it to zoom in, I'm going to click at the end of this little timeline, which clicking right here would be at the end right here. If I turn synced cursor on and I move it right here, it is at the end. That's how this works. So once you have the final key selected, or in this case, if you want to make a new one, again, like I said, just double click at the end or wherever you want to place it. I can just click a million times and make a bunch of keys. Pressing Ctrl Z also gets rid of them. So just keep that in mind. Like if you want to go back, that works here too. So with my final one selected, I'm just going to zoom it in. And now if I go back to play it, you are cringe. It's zooming in. And I'm just going to show a little bit of an example. If I want my zoom in to end at the middle of the clip, I'm going to drag this ending key. I'm going to drag it to the middle, and also don't mind the key on the bottom row. I'll show that later. Either way, if I want the clip to stop zooming in right there, then watch, it'll work. So if I play it, boom, it should stop. Yep. It stopped halfway through. Once you get this down, it'll become so simple. Another thing I'll mention just for fun is on any video clip or audio clip, but right now for video, you can click FX, and here it opens this window where you can add any of these effects that you want. I almost never use these, but I'll add sphere eyes right here. And what you can do is either just double click it and it adds it. You can see on the top left, it's here now. So that is on my clip now, or you can just click it and then click add. But once you're done adding stuff, then press OK. And here's just one random effect that I have. But yeah, basically, you can now see that the video track has the FX symbol, but it's blue. That means that it has an effect on it in the first place. Any other clip here, you can see that it says FX and it's not blue. That's because I don't have a special effect on any of these other clips, but on this one specifically, FX is blue. So if I click on it, it'll open the window where the effect actually is. And you can edit the effect. You can even remove the effect with this FX with an X around it, or you can add another one with the FX with a plus by it. So you can go in and add another one. Like if I add this, boom, it's a different effect that makes me larger. Cool. Either way, when you're done with that, then just exit out. So with all this on this one clip, I have You Are Cringe with me. Okay, I did this completely on accident. I didn't even mean to do this. Also, just for funsies, I'm going to turn my auto ripple on by pressing X. So you can see it's blue now. And I'm just going to click this clip where nothing is happening. And I'm going to press delete. So then it is gone. One tip is if a clip already has both sides cut off, pressing Shift S is not going to work. Like if I go here and I press Shift S, it's not going to do anything. If I click here and I press Shift S, it's going to leave this little bit of footage right here, which you don't want. So if something already has both sides cut off, meaning you see the left side is cut right here and then this right side is not cut, but if it looks like this where both sides are cut, then you're going to want to turn auto ripple on, or maybe even turn it off if you don't want it on, and press the delete key instead of pressing Shift S. Shift S is specifically if you have the left side cut already and the right side is not cut. So then where you click, you make that cut with Shift S and it automatically moves it. That's how that works. Or alternatively, something I didn't mention because I never use it is if you have the right side cut already and you want to do the opposite of what you just did, then you can click on the left side and press Shift D if you set that keybind, and that should do the exact same thing but in reverse. Another other thing that you can do is over on the left side with these 4 tabs right here, you have Video FX, or you should have Video FX. What you can do is you can look for an effect that you like. For me, I think black and white is really good. So you can click the star to favorite it, and then the favorites window will be right here on the top. You can see it with the star as well. So if I click here, I have all my favorited effects right here. I have blurs and I have saturation, I have chroma key for green windows, brightness and contrast, and then I have black and white. Either way, to add an effect to a clip, what you have to do is you have to click on the one that you want, which I'll use one of my presets. So like right here, I'll add saturation to my camera. It's not that much, but here I'll make it more apparent so you can see that I actually have saturation there. See, the saturation is turned way up. So what you can do if you want to save an effect that you have on a clip is you can name it up here after you made your changes. Just name it and then press this little save icon, and then it should end up in the section where that was saved to. If it doesn't show up right away, then you might have to close your program and reopen it. Either way, it should eventually show up here. So if I go and save this one, if I just make it random letters, save it, and then maybe I click back somewhere else and I click back in, there it is right here. There's the effect that I just had. Again though, if you want to add a visual effect to a clip, you go to which one you want to add and you just drag it and drop it on the video track that you want, on the specific video track that you want. So as you can see, we have blur right here on this track that is selected, highlighted in yellow. And if I maybe want to add something to this clip right here that has nothing on it, then I can go, I'll just do like a brightness and contrast. I'll make it look really ugly. Boom, it's on this clip now, specifically this clip. Let's say I want to add darkness onto this blurred clip. boom, there it is. That's how this works. It's really simple. And if you want to change the effect that you have, then you can just press this FX window right here on this specific clip, and then it opens it. And here, when you have multiple effects, you can see that you can click between them. You can also toggle them on and off if you want, just to see what it's like with or without them. But yeah, so that's going to do it for that section. Now, here is something that is super, super useful. The Explorer window. This makes it so then you don't constantly need a folder open all the time on the other side of your window. Like if you want to add music, if you want to add sound effects, anything like that. So what you can do is here you can see your computer basically, right? And if I want to go to maybe my music, so right here you can see this. What you can do is you can right click that folder and click add to favorites. So I have my music folder here. It shows all of the music files that I have. And if I add it to favorites, then my music folder is forever up here under the favorites section that you can see right here. So here you can see all of the music that I have. So if I want to add a music track, what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to finally remove all of these extra audio tracks that have no audio on them. So what you can do to do this is just select here on the left side. This will select the entire track, and you can just press the delete key or right click and maybe press the delete here. Yes, you can. Same thing. So essentially clicking on the left here selects the entire track. And if you want to select multiple, control click. If you want to deselect them, then you can just click one specific one. Either way, I'm also going to delete this third one. So now we have my face track and my audio track. If I want to add music beneath my voice, then what you can do, even if there's not already video track here, as you can see on the left, there is no track here. It is just my voice track and my video track. But what you can do is you can just drag and drop a song here, and boom, here's the song. So now we're starting on the audio section of this video. You can see here that my voice starts before the song starts. This is a really simple fix. You can click where the song starts, press S or even Shift S if you want. Either way, just delete the part where the song isn't there, and then the song will start at the exact same time that my voice starts. Easy fix. If you want a song to stop at any point, just cut it and either move it to where you want the song to continue. So here, there is no song being played where I'm talking, but then it starts again on this clip. Obviously, the song is way too loud. So what you can do is either here on the left, there is a decibels thing right here. You can either turn this down. So this turns this green track down, the entire thing. It turns it all down. Or what you can do is on every single audio and video track, there is this little knob at the top. You can see it's green right now, or like tealish. You can either click there, or you can just click anywhere at like the top-ish of the track. You can see exactly where my cursor is right now. If you put it right there where the audio waveforms kind of end at the top, where it turns into this like bar, you can just click there. You can see that my cursor turns to this like hand pointing with like a little up-down arrow. And what you can do then is you can drag it down to lower the decibels. As you can see, it's lowering the volume as I drag it down. Or if you want to bring it back up, then literally just do the exact same thing. But once you lower it, you'll see that the waveforms are smaller, and then there's also this white bar in the middle of the waveform. That is where basically the audio level is right now. So if I hover my mouse over that, you can see that it says the audio level right there. And if I want to raise it up, then I can drag this white bar back up to the top, or I can just drag it wherever I want it to be. If you need to make something louder, then you can press the FX option on the audio track and add the volume effect, and then you can raise it from there. When it comes to adding audio effects, I haven't found a way to get a window over here to get audio effects. I'm sure that if you go into like view, window layout or something somewhere over here, you can maybe get an audio effects window over here, but I'm not sure who's going to use that often. Either way, what you can do, same as video tracks, you can click FX on an audio track. So let's say I want this part of my audio track, this part right here that I'm editing right here, I want this to have an audio effect on it. So you can click FX, and then you can just go through here, look at the effects. I want to add maybe distortion. I want to make it blow my ears out. Then I'll just make it crazy distorted. Or let's say, okay, so I don't have any music back here. I just want to add a music track that starts at the beginning of the video or starts at a certain part of the video, but I want it to end where this music track begins. You can do one of two things. You can either just slap the music audio right here, and what I'm going to do again is I'm going to make it so then the music starts where the video starts. So I'm going to select where the music begins, and I'm going to either press Shift S or do it the other way. Either way, once I have it ready, then I can make it centered, and boom, the music will start where my voice starts. I'm going to make it quieter in advance because I know the music is going to be loud. And as you can see, my music is already under the other music track, but just to make sure that it doesn't mess with anything, what you can do is you can just select near the end of the music track that you just added, and then press S to cut. And then as you can see, the yellow outline is kind of going really far. Like this audio track is beneath all of these other ones, and it's really messing with it. So what you can do is just find a way to select this extra audio track that you just added, and then just delete it. So now it's gone. As you can see, it's back to normal. And then what you can do is you can add the audio back here at the end by just doing that. Basically what I just did is near the end of the clip, you can see that my cursor changes to this weird thing that says like I can move left or right. And if I hold my left click down now and I drag, you can make the video longer. So this is really important for a lot of things actually, like this. If I were to make a cut here and then I realized, oh no, I cut too much. What I can do now is you can see my mouse right now, it has that same symbol. It says trim event end. This works on either audio or video. And if the tracks are combined, then it'll work on both of them. As you can see, they're both highlighted. And if I hold my left click, I can either drag it back to, in another way, delete stuff. So I can delete this little phrase right here if I want to. In this case, oh no, I deleted too much. So then you can just drag it out and you get everything back. One thing to keep note, if you have auto ripple on, this will move everything else. As you can see, that track just moved. If I move it back, that track just moved again. Sometimes that can be annoying, so that's why you want the keybind for auto ripple, so then you can just turn it on and off. Just keep track if this is on or off, because sometimes you might not want it on. And I think I have nothing else to show. If there's anything else I need to show, I will make an unlisted video and I'll post the link in the comment section and in the description. So if I miss anything, then just check the comments, check the description, and I'll have an unlisted video posted there for anything that I might have missed. Regardless, even though this video isn't complete at all, yours should not look like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly go through and I'm going to edit everything. You can watch what I'm doing. This is specifically for jump cuts. So I'm just going to go through and jump cut everything, and I'm just going to let you watch what I'm doing. Something to keep mind of is I'm not cutting out my stutters. I'm literally just going to be clicking through and cutting everything down. So this little clip right here, I stutter. So normally I would delete this, but for this case, I'm not going to actually be listening to my video. And in specific cases where there's a little audio track right here, like there's a little waveform, you're going to want to click before that and just listen to it, because sometimes this little one right here could either be audio in the background or it could be you saying something like S or X or anything like that, anything that might be quieter for some reason. So you'll have to determine whether you want to cut this little part in or out. But for now, I'm just going to cut it out. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just clicking at the beginning of the audio waveform and I'm clicking at the end. So when I click at the beginning, I press S to make the initial cut. When I go to the end, I press Shift S to make the final cut, and it moves everything automatically because I have auto ripple on. So if I click at the beginning, I scroll out to recenter my screen, and also to see further, I click at the end. I can zoom in to see if I'm selected where I want to be. So if I'm accidentally selected here, then I can zoom in and select exactly where I need to be, and then I press Shift S, it moves everything back. I click at the beginning of this one, click at the end of that one. Simple as that. Click at the beginning of this one. This little squiggle is usually an effect that you don't want. This right here is just me breathing into my mic. Either way, click at the end, Shift S, click at the beginning here, go to the end, click at the beginning, scroll to recenter my screen, click at the end, click at the beginning, scroll to recenter my screen, click at the end, Shift S, click at the beginning, S, scroll out to recenter my screen, and to get further away, click at the end, scroll to recenter my screen again. Scrolling is going to be really important to recenter your screen all the time. That's something I didn't really realize until right now. Shift S again, and now I'm kind of lost. So what am I going to do? Scroll out. It recenters my screen to where my cursor was just placed. And as you can see now, it's really organized. We have all of these clips right here, pure audio, no downtime. And on the right, it's still unorganized. Everything is kind of crazy. So what you're going to do is basically just continue doing this until your video looks good. It looks how you want. And obviously you're probably going to be listening to your video while you're doing this. This is what I do to save time a lot. I can literally have my video playing over here, and then what I can do is I can continue doing it while listening to myself for any mistakes that I make when I say anything. So then if I ever make any mistakes, then while I'm doing this, I can just be like, pause this video. Something I didn't mention is you can press the spacebar to pause or play your video. I can go back here. Let's say that this clip right here was me stuttering or something. So I can just click on it with my auto ripple on, then I can delete it, and it's gone. Simple as that. Because basically when it's playing over here, I can still do stuff over here. So if I zoom out, it's still playing over there, and I can just continue doing my work over here. And the reason why I'm doing the auto ripple, this button down here, and I'm also doing the Shift S option, like here, I'm not pressing S and then deleting, that would look like this. That would look like that. What I'm doing is I'm clicking here and then clicking at the end, pressing Shift S, and it automatically does it. The reason I'm not doing it the other way is because if I do it the other way while my video is playing, if I press S and then I go over here and press delete, there's a big chance that my program will crash, and you don't want that. So the Shift S option is way better, especially while you're listening to your video while you're making cuts. That's what I found out over time. One of the final things I'm just going to show, I'm literally right now going to go through everything that I may have missed, is over here on the right. This changes the audio of the entire project. So if I want to make the entire project quieter, like you can see right here, the decibel numbers, it's at 0 right now. If I lower it, the entire project is now 10 decibels quieter. If I raise it, the entire project is now 4 decibels louder. And now I'm just going to go through some mistakes that you can accidentally make and how you can correct them. Here's one thing that really freaked me out the first few times it happened because it felt like it hard locked me out of my program. Let's say I'm going to drag this track over to the right like this, right? Like I want to drag it over for whatever reason. So while your mouse has this little icon, if you double click here, maybe I turned it off, but if you double click here and it opens this really weird split view window that I can't show you right now, all you have to do is double click in the exact same place. I wonder if they removed it in this version. Either way, if you ever accidentally double click and then you have this weird like split view window where you have 2 of this on your screen, then all you have to do is go to where you originally double clicked and just do it again. Another thing, if you accidentally press Z, that's going to mute the entire track, or it's just going to basically make the entire track invisible. Just check over here for this button. See, this audio is muted and it goes dark. So that's what the Z keybind does. I almost never use that, but it could be important. And same thing here. I'm not sure what the keybind is, but if you ever accidentally press this, you can see that other tracks go dim. So just make sure that you don't accidentally do this. Another thing is you can see up here on the top, this is something that confused me for the longest time. This right here is where you select what you're rendering. So if I want to go render my whole video, if I were to go to file, render as right here, if I were to do that, then it would only render this part that is highlighted with these 2 yellow corners. So what you want to do is you want to take the left one up here, drag it all the way to the beginning of your clip, and then drag the right one all the way to the end of your clip. So now you can see it's highlighted the entire recording or the entire edit right here. What you can do is either do that, or you can just save your program, close it, reopen it, don't touch anything, and then render it. Now for rendering itself, let's go to file, let's go to render as. This is how you render your video. So what you're gonna see probably is you're gonna see a bunch of random stuff, right? But I found a really good way to make my videos high quality when I render them. So what I'm gonna do, and what you should probably do, is on the left you see Magic's AVC/AAC. You can either choose this one, or if you find a better one, then you can do that as well. Regardless, that's gonna open a new window on the right. And let's say that you don't have one made already, which you probably don't. So you would click, let's say, Internet HD 1080p, almost 60 FPS, and VENC, whatever that means. I personally think that this is the best one, so you can select it, and then you can customize template with this customize template button right here. When you click that, it opens this window, and what you can do here is essentially just copy everything I have down right here. Frame size 1920 by 1080, frame rate about 60 FPS, pixel aspect ratio 1.0000 whatever, maximum BPS 40 mil, average BPS 20 million, RC mode, VBR, encoder mode, NV encoder, preset, default, all this stuff. Also with the audio, you can do this as well if you want. Regardless, once you're done, then what you want to do is you want to go up here and rename it. So change this name to whatever you want it to be. So there, and then you can click this little save template button. So if I save it, then now it should be down here. Here's the one that I just saved. And what you can do now is you can click on it and click the favorite button. So now if I go to filters, and then I go to show favorites only, and then I go back, boom, you can see that the one I just added right here is here. So you can always have that there. And then what you do is you select the folder that you want it to be in. For me, it's my rendered videos folder. You change the name and then click render. And once you do that, it'll begin rendering. This takes up a lot of GPU and or CPU. So you might not be able to do anything else with your computer while you're doing this. And if you press anything in the program, or if you move the program around a lot, it might crash it. So just do this when you're not doing much else on your computer. You can probably watch YouTube. You can go in Discord. You can probably play a small game, but you're probably not going to be able to play a big game while you're doing this. And if I go and cancel it right now, I'm going to show you something else that you can do. If your render ever stops randomly at a point and it doesn't continue moving, that means that for some reason it's crashing. There's a few things that you can do. Either you can see on the rendering window where it stops moving, you can see your preview window because it shows you the preview the entire time it's rendering. And this is a really annoying process, but what you're going to have to do if that happens is you're going to have to see where the preview is, find it on your timeline, and alter the video in some way. Let's say I have a text box here, or let's say it is like this, you know, it's crossfaded, and maybe the crossfade is making it crash for whatever reason, or maybe the text box is making it crash. You might just have to remove or move something to make it not crash anymore. It's a really annoying process, but it happens like every once in a while. Specifically, if the recording clip is recorded in a weird way, or if it's like a super high quality clip, it has more of a chance of happening. But one thing that you can do to make rendering even faster is you can go to file after you saved it already, and then go to new, and you should have your automatic template here if you have start all project with new settings on when you did it over here. So in this gear up here, if you have start all projects with these settings on, then it should have everything that you just had here when you made it back there. But if you save the template that you made with this gear right here, then you should be able to go to this window and boom, it's right here. So I'm just going to start a new project here. Then what you can do is you can go to File, Import, Media, and then you need to find the file that you were just working on. And what it does is it basically puts that file into a new file, and then it'll show up in your project media page. You can see it right here. What you got to do is either just double click it or just drag it onto your timeline. And once it is here, you can see that it is the entire thing that I just had, but there's none of the editing stuff on it. So what this does is basically it compresses it, so then it's easier to render. And again, you can see that this yellow thing up here, it is perfectly in line with the clip, because that's how it does when you open a new clip. If it's something like this, if it's a little weird, then just drag it out and then drag it to the end as well, so then it's covering the entire clip, and then File, Render As, and just do the same thing that you just did before. And that is finally gonna do it. This is such a long recording, an hour and 6 minutes. Dude, the things I do for you people. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe, do all that. I will see you later. Goodbye.